The Haunting of Hollow Creek. The students of Maplewood Comprehensive were buzzing with excitement. It was the annual school trip, and this year they were heading to Hollow Creek, an old forest camp notorious for its eerie legends. Despite the stories, the teachers assured everyone it was just folklore, a way to spice up the trip. As the bus pulled into the forest, the atmosphere changed. The towering trees seemed to bend inward, and the shadows grew darker, as if hiding something within. Some students joked nervously, while others tried to ignore the unsettling feeling creeping into their minds. Among the students was a small group of friends: Lucy, Jake, Mira, and Danny. They were thrilled at the idea of spending a night in the old, supposedly haunted cabins. As they set up their bunks, Mira noticed something odd on the cabin wall: scratch marks, deep and jagged, as if something had clawed its way in. Probably just an animal, Jake shrugged, but Mira wasn't convinced. That night, the forest outside seemed alive. The wind howled through the trees and strange noises echoed from the darkness. Just before midnight, as the students were drifting to sleep, Lucy heard a distant, rhythmic tapping. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming from the window. She sat up, her heart racing. Pulling back the curtain slightly, she froze. Standing just beyond the trees was a figure, barely visible in the dark, staring straight at her. Its eyes seemed to glow faintly, and it was swaying slowly, side to side. Lucy yanked the curtain closed and backed away, her breath shallow. "What's wrong?" Danny whispered, already sensing her fear. "There's someone out there," she stammered, "watching us." The group gathered at the window, but the figure was gone. "You're just spooked," Jake said, though his voice wavered. But that wasn't the end of it. The next day, the students went on a hike deeper into the forest. The teachers were chatting ahead, oblivious to the growing unease. As they ventured farther, Mira spotted something in the distance: a dilapidated, forgotten building. It looked like an old school, its walls crumbling and vines twisting through broken windows. Curious and daring, the four friends broke away from the group and approached the structure. Inside, the air was thick with dust, and the floorboards creaked under their feet. Desks were overturned, and old, faded papers littered the ground. On the walls were faded drawings of children, but their faces had been scratched out, replaced with black, hollow holes. Suddenly, the tapping sound returned, echoing through the abandoned halls. Tap, tap, tap. They spun around, searching for the source. Danny's flashlight flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. The tapping grew louder, closer. Mira's voice trembled. "We need to leave. Now." As they turned to leave, a door at the end of the hallway slowly creaked open. From the shadows emerged a figure, the same one Lucy had seen the night before. Its face was pale and gaunt, its eyes glowing with a sinister light. It raised a bony hand and pointed directly at them. "Run," Jake shouted, and they sprinted toward the exit. But the forest outside had changed. The trees loomed larger, and the path they had taken was gone. As they ran, they could hear the tapping following them, faster now, like the beat of a heart closing in. They didn't stop running until they burst out of the forest and into the clearing where their classmates and teachers were waiting. The forest behind them was silent again, as if nothing had happened. Breathless, they tried to explain what they had seen, but no one believed them. It was just the forest playing tricks, they said. Just the old legends getting to their heads. But as the bus drove away from Hollow Creek, Lucy glanced out the window one last time. Standing at the edge of the trees was the figure, watching, waiting. And from the distance, she could still hear it. Tap, tap, tap.